What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Nilo Kicking Knowledge. Today, we'll be taking a look at the upcoming Venus retrograde cycle occurring in the sign of Gemini. So, let's get into it. Now, what's Venus? Venus is the planet of love, relationship, finances, aesthetics, relating. Gemini is the sign of communication, learning, curiosity, versatility. And retrogrades are a point where, or a period, when energetically, we receive that planet's influence in a more internal manner, where rather than focusing on things outward regarding that planet, the attention and focus is on inward things. And it's more of a reflective time. And it's more of a time, it's like a testing time, honestly, like a time of lessons. And, you know, between Mercury, Saturn, and Venus, each retrograde has its own particular type of niche or signature. So, you know, with Saturn is definitely like a tester. It's like, okay, how can I do something different in this area of life? How can I recommit myself towards Saturn-like things during this time period? You know, how can I focus more on self-discipline? Mercury's like, how can I attune my perception to be a little bit better? How can I change the way I communicate? Or, you know, what do I need to learn about how I'm communicating? Okay? Venus comes here and makes us question a lot of things. Obviously, our relationships. More importantly, the relationship with ourselves. Because Venus relates to our sense of beauty. So on some level, especially for those with a heavy Venus signature, your confidence, your identity may be tied towards your outward appearance, your ability to provide yourself with material goods, your ability to be in relationships or have functional relationships. So when a retrograde comes around, it makes you question all of those things. It makes you reevaluate all of those. So with this being in Gemini, it's a pretty light energy to have a retrograde in, but it's also, because of the curious and learning nature of it, we stand to gain a lot of insight during this time. So we're going to be a lot more perceptive of what's going on. Gemini is also a very flirty sign. Okay, it's a sign of communication, and it embodies an energy of youthfulness. So traditionally, our exes or past relationships, you know, it could be with friends as well, they come back around. And I would say in Gemini, we're a lot more susceptible to backtracking or wanting to rehash the past. Okay? However, now we need to go ahead and look at the aspects of this here retrograde. So with Venus going retrograde, it's going retrograde in very, very, very close aspect towards Neptune. And, you know, I always like to look at the chart that a planet goes retrograde under to really show the influence for that particular cycle. And with this retrograde chart, we got the moon in Aquarius, squaring Uranus, and we got Venus here in Gemini squaring Neptune. And what we really need to understand is that nothing is as what it seems, and that if you are not spiritually in tune and you're just kind of like gallivanting through life, relationships, you're in for a rude awakening. All right? Don't take anything at face value right now. Venus square Neptune shows that our perceptions in regards to particular things may be a little off. Okay? One thing that I correspond with this cycle is going to be having to confront our superficialness. And that kind of equates towards wanting to look at things at face value. So with Neptune in Pisces, is telling us to kind of use our third eye to see past what isn't actually there. Okay? For some who's, in tune, there are going to be red flags or messages regarding a person or a situation right in front of your face. But it's a matter of shaking off the euphoria of however you're feeling and saying, okay, I'm gonna have to really look at this in a realistic manner. All right? So whatever this is occurring for you and whatever transpires, you gotta take into account a more serious look. All right? So at this time, a lot of information can be received through our dreams. Okay? Our dreams are going to be more revealing of our own motivations or the things we need to learn versus trying to figure things out in waking reality. So that then brings me to the point about logic, Gemini and logic, and then the square to Neptune. And then the moon squaring Uranus. For this cycle, when it comes, you're gonna have to confront your fixed patterns within relationships, or your fixed emotional responses to things, right? And this can manifest in numerous ways. I give an example of saying like, okay, let's say you have a thing where in relationships where you get really close to people and then you retreat. Okay? This retrograde can bring you someone who whereas other partners, they kind of like when you naturally retreated, they didn't chase you. This retrograde can bring you someone who realizes your pattern and refuses to let you go. They're like, they see exactly what you're doing and they say, okay, you're drawing away from me, but there's no real reason to draw away. Now the way it's going is in the square, right? Is the Venus Neptune square is that you may find the littlest thing to provide yourself with the logical belief of why you should run, when in reality it's an unconscious tendency that you have. So the way this goes is that the person is going to recognize it, and because this is occurring in Gemini, they'll be able to directly communicate to you your shortcoming or the pattern that you're doing. And then you have to recognize it for yourself. But the logical part of like, no, I'm really upset about this, or no, this is why I'm doing it and it's not going to work. Is it? Or is it just something that you've been doing? So now that leads me to the growth aspect. How do we grow during this Venus retrograde period, right? You have to take a look at your relationship history, or the history in regards to wherever this is occurring. So if this is occurring within your ninth house, okay, and it's you're realizing something about your beliefs, okay, you have to really ask yourself like, am I too gullible in believing things, or am I too easily influenced in towards of changing my beliefs? If it's your career, Am I not grounded enough? Do I keep floating around from career to career? Therefore, that's why I'm not stable or fulfilled. Did I have an opportunity in the past to, garner that particular thing that I wanted? Right? So wherever this is happening, whatever area of life, look for the pattern. Seek it out. And more than likely, it's going to be communicated to you through someone else. Someone else may even be reflecting that particular energy so you're able to see it. All right? So, like I said, the real healing part is that we backtrack, but really being able to write, ask yourself particular things, and literally, journal a little bit more, communicate. You can ask yourself a question as simple as this: What are the common patterns or common qualities within the people that I attract? And then from there, what went wrong in this relationship? What went wrong here? And it's kind of like a connecting of the dots. Like I said previously, our perceptions are going to be a lot more fine-tuned. They're going to be all over. But we have to see in the correct manner. So the things that we don't want to see is actually what we need to be seeing, if that makes sense. All right? Going back here, just speaking on this Venus square Neptune, during this time, our relationship with, pleasure, substances and all of that are going to come to a head, right? This can show a time where unconsciously we want to escape, right? We may not want to deal with particular things, or when our emotions are evoked, we can seek to, block that out through some form of escapism. That's something to really keep in mind. So along with Saturn being retrograde during this time, for some, that's going to be something that you got to work on. Disciplining yourself in that manner. Disciplining yourself in terms of, how you pursue pleasure, right? But on a real positive note, this is an excellent time to rediscover particular skills or hobbies that you've left in the past or that you didn't fully follow through on, okay? And this particular thing is going to be even more pronounced for people who have energy within Gemini and Sagittarius, which is retrograde is going to be affecting, and then we have the North Node there too, and then also other air signs in which will pick up a trine. So the things that you learn during this time are going to serve to be a benefit of you to increasing your Venus, qualities and capabilities. All right. So I know everyone always likes this, so I'll give a brief little thing around the houses on what to focus on. So if for my Gemini risings, this is going to be going in your first house, possibly depending, going back into your 12th, but just for the first house people, focus on projecting more of your intellect and being more communicative in different areas of life. It can also be a time where, you take care of yourself in terms of, I know, malls and stuff aren't open, but seek to enhance like your wardrobe, invest in things that enhance your overall personality or feeling good about yourself. Second house people is going to be key. You're really, what I said about, possibly like substances and examining your relationship to pleasure and escapism, you're going to really have to pay attention to that a lot more. You'll be feeling a lot more indulgent, okay? And probably substituting indulgence for, to like numb the pain and things of that nature. And then you also want to focus on your finances. Try not to impulsively spend or trust people with money, okay? Definitely not a good time to do that. Third house people, you definitely need to be soaking up this energy and learning as much things as possible. Anything on your chest emotionally, you need to get off. I would find an outlet to do so. There can also be, key conversations had with siblings or friends, and a lot of activity within that area. Fourth house people, this is about getting your mind together, and your emotions and how you relate towards family and, a personal sense of security. Overall, you want to focus on being more grounded, doing things, from home that make you feel a little bit more secure. Looking at your emotions, seeing how they fluctuate. If they're fluctuating a lot, look at what are the things in my life that provide me with a sense of security, that make me feel grounded, and focus on doing more of that. But getting closer with family, or having family to lean on in this time is going to be crucial. Fifth house people, you want to get out there and, although we're in this pandemic, your social life will be brimming. You are definitely those people in which exes, can come back around, and it provides you a lot to learn from. Okay? And then there's something that you can learn here in regards to your overall confidence. Things that you do that help you gain confidence, that make you feel more Venus-like or individualistic. Sixth house people definitely got to focus on being more grounded. This is another aspect, is another earth house where, it may be a struggle to remain grounded on a day-to-day basis, but focus on, learning things that help with your self-improvement. Okay? Seventh house people, it's really good. So a lot that goes on here. You definitely, for the seventh house, there can be key partnerships being formed, but don't over idealize anybody. Don't think that you've met your twin flame, because they might just be the opposite. If you meet somebody new, take it slow. If an ex comes back, it's more than likely not going to be something very stable. So seventh house people have the potential right now to get really lost in the sauce. All right, so keep your feet on the ground. Eighth house, also examining your emotions, and really seeing what emotional patterns kind of keep you from being fully fulfilled within the areas of sex and intimacy. Focus on working with the occult, learning new information, things of that nature. But you can emerge from this retrograde period really enlightened about yourself and have a better understanding of how to obtain your desires. Ninth house people, you're going to be restless at this time. You're going to be restless at this time, and I would say, of everyone, ninth house people might be doing a lot more research in terms of like conspiracy theories and what to believe, along with 12th house people too. But yeah, it's going to be a great time of learning. A lot of you are going to feel like, you come across some information that's going to change your life or whatever, but penetrate deeper. Don't take things at surface level. So it can be your opinions and beliefs on things can be fluctuating at this time. 10th house people, my Virgo risings, we definitely want to seek here to be a little bit more professional, be a little bit more accessible, reach more through, be more vocal and communicative within our public personas and pursuits of career. If you're looking for a job, Venus is on your side here. Seek to do something creative, okay? So like if you're looking for a job, don't settle for something that you feel is just like gonna get it done. Something eccentric or out of the box can definitely come to you, and as well as focus on enhancing your personal magnetism through different endeavors. 11th house people, group dynamics are going to be interesting. You want to go back into your past and examine what 11th house people, you want to go back into your past and you want to examine, your past group dynamics. What groups were you a part of that were successful? Where were the roadblocks? And ultimately, there can, for some, be opportunities to join new groups, but discernment will be key. Don't just dive in head first to anything, all right? 12th house people, this has a chance to be a really fulfilling retrograde for you. If there are things here within yourself that you haven't confronted regarding certain insecurities or unconscious tendencies, that's going to come, that's going to come up. But ultimately, it's a great time to connect with spirit, to do rituals, get more in tune in terms of learning different disciplines, whether it be astrology, tarot, energy work, all types of things. So you're going to be researching a lot too. And if you attract somebody new during this period, do your research on them, because it can indicate a situation where they are not who they seem, or they are unavailable in some particular type of way. All right? So y'all, with everybody, we all got to have our eyes wide open. We got to be really honest. We got to be direct and yeah. But like I said, Gemini is a light energy to have this retrograde in, and it's gonna bring forth a lot of growth. Okay, so y'all, this is my interpretation of this year's Venus retrograde cycle. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, feel free to do so. Chime in, let me know what's going on. If you need a reading, holla at me. Till next time, peace.